We'll start this cut with clippers, and the hair needs to be completely dry. So this part we'll do clippers. The top part we're gonna cut with scissors or shears. You can also use clippers if you want. And then I'll show you how to blend the two lengths together. It's a very basic back to school haircut. So again, the bottom part here, this is going to be clippers. So how you know where to stop with the clippers is really simple. On the side of the head here, pretend there's an ear. Take a comb and place it against the head. Where it starts to lift off, right here, this is all going to be the shorter part or the clipper part, all the way around the head. If they have lighter hair, you can draw with a marker, not a Sharpie, but like an Expo marker if you're okay with that. Some people are weird about chemicals. Not me, someone's doing a perm right now. And I don't know if you've ever smelt a perm. You can draw with your marker a green line or yellow line, so you can kind of know if you're scared of going beyond that. For this, I'm using a peanut. You can get these at Sally's. They are just mini versions of clippers. You do want to put a guard on this. For this, I'm using a 1 guard because he likes it very short. If you're not sure, 3 and 4 are the most common. So this is really short. We're gonna take the clippers and go almost to that line, just hugging the scalp like this. Now, because they have a guard on them, they're not going to make it any shorter than this guard. You can literally go this way, backwards. You can go whichever way you want, and the hair will never be shorter than this guard. You do want to go against the direction of the hair though. In most areas of the head, the hair is going to grow down, so you will go the opposite way. Think of shaving your legs. At this point where our line is, it's going to be short going to long. So we want to create a little bit of a stack or elevation so this blends or is easier to blend at the end. So at the start, we were hugging the scalp like this, following the direction of the head. It's got curves in it, it changes direction. Right here where this line is, we're gonna do one of these. Do you see that? It's like a little whoop, whoop. See my piece of foil here? Pretend this is hair. When you take the clippers and do a scooping motion, it creates a shape that looks like this, a triangular shape. It's short going to long. This is gonna help you when you're ready for the blending part, because again, we have short, long for a typical haircut. So you're going to scoop all around this imaginary line. Now, if you forget where this line is, they have dark hair, you can't find a marker, whatever it is, just place your comb where it lifts off. That's where I need to do the scooping motion with the clipper. Now we're ready for the top part. For this, I'm going to use scissors or shears. I'll link a pair that's under $10 on Amazon below, but you do need some sort of shears if you can. Try to avoid using kitchen scissors. They're not sharp enough and they'll make very blunt lines. You can also use a clipper on the top. You'll just change the guard if you want this to be a basic fade. So if you used a 1 like this, you could use a 4 on top. We need to start a guide. This mannequin has doodles all over it, but think of making a really small mohawk. What we cut here is going to determine the length for the rest of the top of this haircut. So you'll need to section off a little mohawk, and this is where you need to spray down the hair. We're gonna cut this where the hair lives. The head is round, so we're just gonna follow the shape of the head. The hair grows out here, 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 and here. So you're pulling it out where it lives. Think of, who's that guy that had that really long mohawk, late 2000s, maybe still does, I don't know, I'm kind of behind on everything. I'll put a picture up. Think of that, where it lives, you're gonna pull it out and cut it. Now his hair is already short, so I'm cutting this at fingertip length, which is also a really common way to measure. That just means I'm taking the hair, crab claws, peace sign, taking my fingers, pinching it, and cutting it at fingertip length. That is very short, and actually, correction, I cut it a little bit above fingertip, put the fingertips in, and I moved it just a little bit. If you cut it fingertip length, again, remember this is going to be very short, but if you wanted to keep it longer, you could. Come in here with your crab claws, move it up to where you want to cut it. If you're unsure, put something to mark it on your comb. So I'm always cutting up to this red mark, everything on the top of my head here, or their head. So you've got your middle mohawk section. You're going to comb the hair, pinch it with your crab claws to whatever the desired length is, and cut. You want to be mindful that your knuckles do raise up. If you cut past your knuckle, you may cut it off. Like a general rule is to never cut past your second knuckle, but you'll see me doing it all the time. It's a bad habit. But you can see here, I had to glue this one back on one day. Cut the meat right off. So just be careful. So you're pulling it up and cutting it, pulling it up, cutting it. Everything should be the same length. You'll have that mohawk. This is your guide for the top of this haircut. And please take your time. This is a lot to hold the comb, the scissors, the fingers. The kid is probably doing this. It's a lot. If you need to use clippers at this portion, you can do that. The blending steps will be the same. You can just skip to that. I'll put the timestamps below. Now we're gonna take another sliver of hair. We were cutting it like this to make our guide. Now we're gonna go the opposite way like this. So when you pull it up, you should be able to see that guide. Pull up the hair, find the shortest point, and you're playing connect the dots. Recomb going back towards yourself, find the shortest point, cut, and then slowly inch your way back. This is a basic haircut, so I don't want to get too technical, but you can do one of two things. You can keep your fingers straight like this and create more of a square look, or you can create more of a rounded look by following the head shape like a basketball, which I think is what we originally talked about. Now you're on the last section. You shouldn't have too much here because remember we did the scooping with the clippers. You're taking the hair up where it lives, cutting it to meet that guide, moving back, cutting, meet that guide, moving back, cutting, meet that guide. Take your time. It really is not as easy as it looks, but each time you do this, it gets a lot easier and you'll save a lot of money. Then you can go on and match the other side. Take a section, find the guide, connect to it. Move all the way back, the next section. Any way you pull this hair, you can pull it vertically, horizontal, this way, that way. It should be roughly the same length. In a sense, it's mocking the clippers. Whichever way I drag this thing, it's always gonna be the same length. Now you can see we have what looks like a bowl shape. There's a very obvious line. We need to blend those two lengths together. We've got short to long, we need to blend that together. You can do this one of two ways. If you cut it super short like I did, you're gonna have to take the comb and blend it with the scissors. Remember when we scooped the clipper, you're kind of mimicking that with the comb. So you're taking the comb and creating a wedge. You want to create a stack. So it's a fade into long, short going to long. You're not gonna be able to fade anything if you keep it straight. So you're going in, combing where that imaginary line is. You should be able to see it because there'll be an obvious disconnect. Scoop, take a little triangle or bend it at a 45. You're gonna take your shears and you're kind of notching at it. You don't want to do these huge movements. It's kind of going like this. They're both moving at the same time, which can be very difficult. That's gonna create that angle that starts to fade. If you cut it longer, which I'm sure most people will cut it a little bit longer. Let me cut this real quick. And you don't have to use a peanut. I just try to use stuff that you can get at Sally's so we can all get the same result. You can use a standard size clipper. What's that store? We just got one. Burlington Coat Factory actually has a lot of regular size clippers. They were like $20. Okay, so let me cut some of this. So remember at the top, you cut it, let's just do like that. You cut it this way, so to blend it, it's always the opposite. So you're gonna go this way. You should have some sort of mountain peak. Do you see that? Short, a mountain, back to short. This is a weight line, so you take it this way. I'm cutting all this backwards. I've actually cut most of this haircut backwards, so I'm sorry if it looked a little sloppy. All you do is connect the dots. You're always playing connect the dots with hair cutting. Now you have short, going to long. You can do that. You can also take thinning shears. They look like this. They have a straight blade and teeth. Try to keep the teeth on the top. Same kind of thing. You're taking the comb, scooping, and I'm holding these upside down. That's gonna blend that line. You don't want to overdo this though. Then you're gonna create kind of a hole. You can also kind of take them a little bit at a diagonal or 45. I did fade this up pretty high just by doing scissor over comb and kind of blending it up a little bit. What's the word? It's not a fancy word, a little bit more than usual. It looks more of like a military cut, which is what we were going for. But if you want to keep it in that typical basic haircut, make sure you don't over blend this or over fade it. If you use the clippers on the top instead of the shears, same thing. You can take the comb, blend it, or take it the opposite way, cut that peak off, use thinning shears, use a combination of all of them. Just again, be very mindful that you can do this too much. For the bang part, you can just comb them straight down. And point cut, which is just taking the tip of the shear and doing one of these, just up and down, creating a feathered effect. So imagine a straight line, you're just doing a little grass cutting. For around the ears and the neckline, you can just use whatever clippers you have, or they make trimmers for this, but regular clippers will be fine. Take the guard off, and you're gonna go straight in like this. So straight in, down, straight in, down, straight in, down. To create whatever type of neckline you or they want, I would suggest doing more of a straight one if it's your first time, just so it's easier. So you're just taking the clipper, going in, down. Make sure you're not going scooping, straight in and down. You don't want to create a hole or a little cave. It's just down. For around the ear, this can be tough, especially if the kid doesn't like the noise. You're using just this little portion of the clipper. So you're taking it this way, hold the ear, and you're tracing around the ear. You may have to go one way with it and go back another way depending on the direction the hair is growing. The sideburn is typically the middle of the ear and just straight down. To style this, you can style this type of cut up, over to the side. You can do a hard part, whatever you want to do. This is what I like to use. You can get it at Sally's. It is a firm hold and will create a wet gel-like look. I just picked this up yesterday to try it for the first time, and it's okay. It does give you that wet look, but it's a looser hold, even though it says extreme or freeze hold. You can also use a hair powder if they prefer that fluffier textured look. But at this point, you may be over it and don't even want to style it, and that's okay too. You did a great job. And give yourself grace, this is not easy. And when you add in the head bobbing, kids will do that. They'll like whip around because they want to watch you. You cannot be watching right now. Put a lollipop in your mouth. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for being here. If you found this helpful, you can subscribe. I'm here every single Friday.